There is a moment that every collector has had, where you pick up two watches that look almost identical, and yet they feel completely different. One feels dense, one feels light. One catches the light in a way that almost feels a little sharper. And that difference comes down to the case material. Today, we're breaking down what actually matters when it comes to watch case materials, how they're made, how they wear over time, and why brands like Rolex and Omega invest so heavily in their own alloys. And I'm going to use some watches from my own collection to show you exactly how this plays out in the real world. Now, my name is James. I'm a watch collector, a watch enthusiast, and also an advisor. And my goal for you is that you come to know and love your watches. So if you like content like this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel because you'll see new content every week. And check out more of my content down in the description below. With that, let's jump in to cases and how they're made. Now, before we talk materials, you need to understand how a watch case actually comes to life. It starts as a solid block of metal, what's called a billet, or sometimes a forged blank. From there, it goes through CNC machining. We're talking tolerances measured in microns here. Every lug, every curve, every surface is cut with extreme precision. Then comes the part that really defines what luxury watchmaking is all about, and that's finishing. From brushing to polishing to beveled edges, this is the key insight right here. If you take away nothing else from this video, the harder the material, the harder it is to finish well. That's why two watches, both made from steel, can look completely different, because finishing quality is where brands separate themselves. So let's start with the foundation. 316L stainless steel. This is what most of the industry uses, including my Dan Royter DR02. Now, 316L is popular for a reason. It's corrosion resistant, it's durable, and it's relatively easy to machine. And the last point matters much more than people realize, because it allows brands to execute clean, consistent finishing at scale. But it's not perfect, and it will scratch. And over time, it will start to show wear, as you can see here. Now let's step up to something a little more specialized. Rolex uses 904L steel, and of course, in a piece like the Sky-Dweller here, they use a Rolex white gold bezel as well. Now they've built a lot of their identity around these aspects of their watches. So what's different about it? Well, there's a higher chromium content, higher nickel, and added copper. And the result is you have better corrosion resistance, a slightly brighter, whiter tone, and finish that holds up exceptionally well over time. But here's the reality of this. The difference isn't night and day in daily wear. Where it really shows up is in long-term stability and polishing quality. And importantly, it's harder to machine, and that matters. And that means you'll find higher production costs and tighter control over the whole process. Now we get into something genuinely modern. This is O-MEGASTEEL, used by Omega exclusively. And this isn't just about branding here. It's actually a meaningful material upgrade. O-MEGASTEEL is a high purity steel alloy with optimized composition for fewer impurities in the metal itself. Engineered specifically for performance, that translates to about 40 to 50% higher hardness than standard steel. That's a lot. It has exceptional corrosion resistance and noticeably higher reflectivity. And on a watch like the Ploprof, that really matters because this is a tool watch. It's going to see real wear. And O-MEGASTEEL helps it resist scratches better, maintain its finishing for longer, and keep that crisp, bright appearance. Now let's shift gears completely. This is white gold from Jaeger-LeCoultre. And this is where the conversation changes a little bit because this isn't about durability anymore. This is all about the experience of wearing the watch. Now, white gold is softer than steel, it's heavier, and it's also warmer in tone. It doesn't reflect light the same way that steel does. It's more subtle, it's more refined, but at the same time, there is a trade-off here. It will scratch more easily, and it picks up marks a whole lot faster. And honestly, that's part of the charm when it comes to precious metal watches. Secondarily here you have platinum. It's heavier than gold, significantly denser than steel, and it does still behave differently. When platinum scratches, it doesn't lose material, it actually displaces it. And this creates soft, evolving patina on platinum over time. It's not about looking perfect here, it's all about aging with character. Now titanium is where things get even more technical. Titanium is about 40% lighter than steel, it's extremely strong, and it's also highly corrosion resistant. Now there are different grades, but in luxury watches you'll see mostly grade 5 titanium. Now this is the nuance to this. Titanium is harder than steel in many cases, but it scratches differently. Instead of sharp scratches, you get more visible surface marks. And finishing titanium is quite difficult actually. You don't get the same crisp transitions between brushed and polished surfaces. So visually, it feels more subdued than steel. It's more utilitarian. Now let's talk about hardness because this is where a lot of confusion comes into play here. Most watch cases are measured using Vickers hardness. And here's a rough breakdown of what that actually means. So 316L steel has around 150 to 200 Vickers of hardness. With 904L steel, you're looking at around 200 Vickers of hardness. So a little bit harder than 316L. With something like O-MEGASTEEL being as proprietary as it is, you'll actually get over 300 Vickers of hardness. That's getting close to some of the lower grade titaniums that you'll find out there. Then with titanium, you'll get roughly 300 to 350 Vickers. So definitely the hardest of any of the materials that we're going to cover in this video. And then with gold, you'll get around 120 to 150 Vickers, with platinum being just slightly stronger, around 130 to 160 Vickers. So yes, some materials are objectively more scratch resistant than others. But here's the key point of all this. Hardness is not the whole story. A harder material can still show scratches, and a softer material might wear more gracefully. And finishing plays a massive role in how wear actually appears on a watch. So how do these materials actually compare? Well, again, steel is your baseline, durable, versatile, and reliable. 904L elevates that with refinement. With O-MEGASTEEL, you are pushing into true performance territory. Titanium prioritizes comfort and a lightweight feel. And gold and platinum shift the focus entirely, way more towards presence and experience of wearing the watch. And when you look just at the watches we've talked about from my collection today, the Dan Royter is both practical and grounded. The Rolex feels engineered and refined. Omega is technical and purpose-built, for sure. And the JLC is pure traditional luxury at its best. Each one of them delivers something a little bit different. And that's really the point. The best material is not necessarily the hardest. It's also not necessarily the most expensive. Really, it's the one that aligns most with how you actually wear your watches. Because at the end of the day, collecting's not about optimizing specs. It's about building a collection that feels right every single time you put it on. So if you could only choose one case material for the rest of your collection, what would it be and why? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, take a look at my prior video where I talked about why some crystals disappear and others don't. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.